So because of these issues that were raised on a higher level, what happened in IT was we switched to a more virtualized environment. Now, instead of one-to-one, one hardware box running one application, we involved a hypervisor, probably VMware. We put a couple of boxes that were commodity boxes, lower cost, lower quality, and we ran a couple of applications off them instead of just one. And again, hopefully you had sufficient storage backup. You probably are using a Hitachi or maybe even EMC. What this did, and we find this to be an industry standard now, and what this means is that you really had a goal here. And your goal was to, one, increase production, decrease cost, and increase your agility. You probably heard of cloud, and you wanted to start integrating some cloud services as well. And this has really become what we've seen for infrastructure in the last 2 years. Now, Oracle bought Sun in the meantime, so about 3 years ago when they made that acquisition, there was some uncertainty in the field. Was Oracle going to be able to become a hardware company when they were traditionally a software company? What was going on with Sun's existing agreements and existing customers? So we did have a lot of uncertainty on where our product line was going, which might have caused some people to switch to this without considering staying on their current Sun equipment. And that's okay. But when we look at what happened really with this environment and what your goals were, while Sun and Oracle were finding their footing, instead of it saving cost, it increased cost. Not in a capital expenditures way, because really you spent less money on your physical infrastructure, but really from an operational point of view. And the reason your operational point of view went up is because the time and the money that it took to build this, to make sure that it ran, took longer than expected. Plus, you might have been the only company running this specific application on this specific hardware. So you're really building a new infrastructure, an untried infrastructure, every time you're running this environment, which also increase your risks. It increased your risk because you might have an application that's running, we'll use Database 2 from IBM as an example. Maybe they're running Database 2, but they're not compliant with the current operating system that you're running. So you now have to come up with another option. VMware was not as cheap as you thought it was going to be. They have 30 to 50% margins. So now all these low-cost commodity options aren't fulfilling the goals that you had set out. So let's jump over a little bit and talk about what Oracle and Sun were doing all this time while everyone was building these environments. Oracle was investing $4.1 billion in research and development. So what did that make us able to do? Instead of having to build your own system, we tested everything to run together. We know that it works together, and you're going to see a benefit on ease of deployment. I can't stop. Just kidding. In addition, because you can run containers on Oracle VM, and you can run different operating systems at the same time, you've really increased your flexibility within that environment. Oracle also did was they made a guarantee to their customers that they were going to increase their performance by 2 times, so double their performance every 2 years, and we've kept that standard. And finally, we engineered our systems to work together. What does that mean for you? I'm not just talking about engineered systems, which we've mentioned briefly in previous discussions. What I am talking about is beyond that. It includes engineered systems because what we were able to do with engineered systems is really test our products faster, get bugs worked out faster, find better ways to run our current equipment. But we also found ways to guarantee that our software on our hardware runs faster, runs cheaper, and performs better than what the industry standard has become today. So now, instead of having these things be a problem, we're less risky because you can keep in compliance by running several operating systems under one environment and still having updated encryption and security within your systems. We're more time efficient because instead of taking 6 months to set up an environment that looks like this, you're taking 2 weeks to set up an Oracle engineered environment. Our initial capital expense is higher up front. However, you're saving your OpEx in the long run, which is making your total cost of ownership on the entire systems cheaper. Because you're spending less time on the maintenance and the management side of things, you're increasing the production and performance of the machines. You're being able to use a more inventive IT department instead of being more maintenance and just cleanup type of IT department. And we've already discussed, increased agility and cost. So now we go back up and we look at, presenting this back to your C-level or to some of you that are in this room today. So what are we saying? Cost less and more efficient? Well, because your systems are engineered together, you're spending less money operationally than you have been. Speed of change, you're up and running faster, you have more capacity, you're using your equipment in a different and better way. You're able to change and keep up and keep competitive with your environment. Your risk is down because you're keeping up with compliance issues, and you're able to handle the bigger data growth and be able to come up with new initiatives on how to use the data instead of just storing it and not knowing what to do with it. So you're really going to be cutting edge more on what to do with all this new data than you were before. So kind of the proof of points, the 3 things that I would really like to take away are the total cost of ownership, the performance, and also the flexibility that these engineered systems that Oracle can give you. Do you guys have any questions about what we just discussed? Great, so is this something that you're interested in hearing more about at a product level?
I think so.
So let's go ahead and set up another conversation where we can talk and get a little bit deeper into your environment.
That sounds great, thank you.